What's going on? Welcome back to another brand new episode of Skywalking Through the League. I am your host, Bill Sheehy, and I'm joined. He's making his triumphant return. He's been gone for a few weeks. I've missed him. He's my Jedi partner in crime, Trey Mitchell. Trey, how you doing today, buddy?
Bill, I am not your failure.
You
didn't kill Trey.
Kill Trey Snitch.
I did.
Well, if you're dead, then you're not as transparent as I thought you would be.
Just realized I forgot my drink downstairs.
It's fine.
Oh well,
it's fine. We'll get there here in a little bit. How are you? Where are you broadcasting from today?
I'm on Tatooine. No, I've been bouncing around recently. I'm in North Carolina right now, visiting family. So the setup is, if you were, obviously most people that are watching weren't here in the StreamYard before, but I was like bouncing around between rooms and stuff. So it's been crazy, but yeah, happy to finally talk about Fresh Cut Trey. Nice.
Cut Trey.
Excited to finally talk about Kenobi. I've been like waiting because I think the last two episodes have been like probably my two favorites. So I'm pretty excited to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it wouldn't be Trey without his lovely girlfriend. So we brought on Miss Jess, and I'm so sorry, Jess. Just Sloth.
You're close. It's Schloth.
Schloth.
It's difficult to say when you like think about it too much. You just kind of gotta go for it.
I'm an overthinker anyway, so I'm so sorry. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, this is the first time I've been on this show and not like sitting next to Trey. We are in different states currently.
I got you. Awesome. And we have a new friend. He is currently broadcasting from Denver, I think. Denver, Colorado, I think is how you say that. He's our good friend, Kalle Sorbo. Kalle, how are you doing, buddy?
Doing great. It's good to be on. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
You're live at the DNVR bar.
I am live at the DNVR bar.
Nice. So why don't you give the people a little bit of background on who you are and tell them what you do. And then after you do that, I want you to talk about why you like Star Wars. And hell, what's your favorite Star Wars movie or moment? Why does it resonate with you?
So, I'm a live stream producer here in Denver. I work for a sports media company out here, produce a show about the Denver Nuggets. It's a great time.
The People's Nuggets.
The People's Nuggets.
The 2023 champs.
That's everything you need to know about me right there is DNVR and the Denver Nuggets. That's my whole personality. No. How did I get into Star Wars? My dad used to show us the original trilogy on Laserdisc.
Really?
Back in the day. Yeah, he had a Laserdisc player, and so we would watch Star Wars the trilogy just over and over and over again because it was our favorite thing. And what is my favorite Star Wars movie? It's got to be Rogue One.
Really? So
that's the only one I haven't seen, I think.
What is it about Rogue One that you love? Because like it's a Star Wars movie, and I'm always gonna love anything Star Wars. There's always gonna be something for me to like in it. What resonates with you with Rogue One? Because it doesn't do the same for me, but like I'm always interested hearing people talk about why it's their favorite because it's a lot of people's favorite.
Yeah, I love the tactile, real feel of it. It's really a brilliant piece of storytelling, I think, from beginning to end the way that they're able to wedge that in. And I love that it really stands on its own as a story where you can follow these new characters who we've never met before and really fall in love with them enough, even though we know what the outcome of the story is going to be. And then I really love how tactile it feels and the fact that they really made it feel like a war movie. And that's just really fun. I love what they did with Vader in it because it's like the most badass scene in all of Star Wars. And I don't know. I really love it.
That you using the word tactile is the most descriptive and biggest word that's ever been on the pod before. So I appreciate that. Really,
Diaz has some pretty big words.
That's true.
I don't know about that.
It's all about the tapestry. All about the tapestry. Well, because Trey has been gone for the past couple weeks, we talked about what was the last time you were on episodes 1 through 4. And so today's episode is going to be kind of getting Trey, like hearing Trey's thoughts on episodes 5 and 6. And then I want to hear everybody else's opinions on episodes 5 and 6. Because I said what I said last week, and I kind of want to focus on you guys, and then I kind of want to talk about the series as a whole, what worked, what didn't work, if it feels like a full cohesive story, and then I kind of want to look to the future after that and see if there's a season 2, what we would want to see. So Trey, since you've been gone, I can't breathe for the first time. But I want to hear what you thought about episodes 5 and 6 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you think it was the worst thing you've ever seen? What were your main takeaways from episodes 5 and 6?
Okay, episode 5, I loved. I loved sort of the feeling of the rebellion, or not the rebellion, like the people of the path kind of just stuck in that room. It gave me very much like Last Jedi vibes of like what's left is in this closed off room with the enemy outside. And you kind of have to like figure out a way to get to that. I thought that was great. I loved in episode 5 the flashback scene between Anakin and Obi-Wan. That was really cool. I think it was funny that they didn't de-age Hayden at all. He just looks 40 years old.
Which, and I said this last week, the fact that like they didn't really de-age, he looks great. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I know people complained about it, but like,
he looks great, but it's the same thing as when Freddie Prinze Jr. was voicing a 9-year-old Kanan Jarrus in Bad Batch. If Jess, I know we haven't gotten to that yet. Yeah. But, so Kanan, voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr., like he voices like a very young version of him, and it's so strange. It's very strange because it's like 42 voicing like a 9-year-old, and it's very weird. But I mean, seeing Hayden back, like I watched that finale, I watched that episode 5, a majority of it before we got on air today, and seeing that fight is really cool. Seeing Reva go up against Vader and get her ass beaten. Vader's like holding the 2 lightsabers like Ahsoka did. That was pretty sick. Vader like taking that ship down with his hand was cool, but the CGI was pretty bad in that shot. But the moment itself was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think my biggest flaw with this show is like the production budget. Like I just think it looks cheap in a lot of points. So hopefully if there is a season 2, they're able to like up it. But then with episode 6, it just all worked for me. I found myself going back to watch it a lot. Vader versus Obi-Wan lived up to the hype for me. It was the rematch of the century. I love the kind of the evolution of the lightsaber battles between 3 and 4. Episodes 3 and 4, not of this show, but of Star Wars. Like the prequels of a very stylized, like fast and swift duel. And then in A New Hope, it's like swipe, spin, swipe. So it's very, very different. And I feel like the choreography in episode 6 of this was kind of like a bridge between those two starting files, which I liked a lot. The point of Anakin, seeing him through Vader's mask was amazing. Leia was great in this, and then just Reva's redemption was really cool. So the finale was my favorite episode. I think it needed to be the best episode of this show. Like Book of Boba Fett I really enjoyed, but I didn't think the finale was very good at all. And it left me with a bad taste with the show in general. So I'm really glad that this stuck the landing for me. And this is like one of my favorite Star Wars projects probably.
Awesome. Kale, what did you think, my friend? Well, you start with episode 5, you can go with 6. What was your main takeaway from the finale, episode 5,
or just the whole show too?
Yeah, or just whatever you want to talk about, and then we can transition and move to Jess too.
Yeah, I'll talk about episode 5 and 6 sort of when I'm framing this, but the show as a whole for me was some of my favorite moments of Star Wars ever. And then I have some confounding questions with some choices that they made as well. But what really mattered to me about this show was it emotionally sticking the landing. And it really emotionally stuck the landing for me in its biggest moments, which is why I walked away from the show, similar to Trey, really having loved that last episode, feeling like it really stuck the landing and having enjoyed it as one of my favorite Star Wars projects, at least of the new Disney Star Wars era. I really thought emotionally it stuck the landing for me. And episode 5 and 6, my favorite parts of both of those episodes were actually, and this is I think the strength of the show is they were really smart with how they used Hayden Christensen in this show. I think they were really, really smart about it and saving it. I know a lot of people were complaining that we didn't get him earlier, but I think when they used him and where they used him, if they would have overused him, we would have caught on to the age difference, and the de-aging wouldn't work, and you can only suspend your disbelief for so long. And so I thought the way they were able to use him and bring him in, and I actually thought it was his finest moment, probably, and a little bit of a redemption story for him as an actor, getting the opportunity to reprise this character and bring an emotionality and an anger to it, which I think that tantrum nature from the prequels which is the part of his performance in the prequels I actually really like because it fits the character. I thought that really shone through. And that was probably my favorite part about the whole show. And then on top of that is Ewan McGregor is one of my favorite actors ever. And this is some of the best I have ever seen him ever. And I've seen everything he's ever made.
So you're saying it's better than Moulin Rouge, better than Big Fish?
I mean, he's doing great. Like, I mean, up until this, my favorite acting performance from him is probably Fargo, actually.
Really?
Oh my God, he's incredible in that show. He plays.
I've only seen the first 2 seasons.
Because I'm like, I don't remember him in the movie.
Yeah, not in the movie, in the show. But he really just does like a phenomenal job. That scene in episode 6 really, it's just a masterpiece of acting between the two of them back and forth. And it really just, if that scene doesn't stick, the whole show doesn't stick. Right. And so the fact that they were able to pull that off was really just chef's kiss to me.
Is it better than Robots though? If Aaron asks a good question,
it might not be better.
It might not be better than Robots.
2007 classic.
I want to, I mentioned this last week, but because you brought up I'm assuming you're bringing up the acting moment where he sees Anakin for the first time and he says, "I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything."
I want to go around and I want to start with Jess with this one.
Well, wait, hold on. First, have her tell us her thoughts of the whole show.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I really liked it. I think the parts that I enjoyed the most was the relationship between Obi-Wan and Leia. I thought those were my favorite parts. Like, every time I say that I cry, some people, I guess, cry at different times, but the moment that I cried was when he was talking to her about her parents, and like that, like the whole quote itself is like perfect. And I liked that a lot in developing their relationship, because I don't care about like canon and stuff really that much. So like, I don't know, thinking about it too hard is confusing, but I enjoyed that. And yeah, the only thing for me with like the series as a whole is more like, well, one, with the fights, like the fights are really impactful, but at the same time, like, they both survive. So like, I couldn't like shake that from me to be like, it doesn't make sense when Obi-Wan's like going into it and being like, it ends like now, but it won't end, or whatever he said. I don't know the exact quote, but of that nature, to be like, this is where we end it. And they both just like don't get, like, the logical thing would to be like one of them dies, but yet they don't. So that was one of my issues.
I feel like Anakin kind of died there.
Yeah,
like in that last scene, like, and the little glimpse of him left is dead.
Yeah, but him like not wanting the Darth part of it all is what I mean.
And that moment, and we'll get back to what I was mentioning last week, but that moment where he tells him Anakin's gone and you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did. That is essential for A New Hope, because like that it's essential for where Ben is in A New Hope, because he believes his friend is dead. So the certain point of view-ness of it where like, yeah, Anakin Skywalker is dead. Anakin told him he was dead. So like that to me, that means like in Obi-Wan's head, he's telling the truth to Luke when he talks about, Anakin and A New Hope. And, Trey will be back here in a second, but I kind of want to hear what you guys have to think about that. I think that moment that Obi-Wan first confronts and asks for forgiveness from Anakin, I think it's the best acted scene in Star Wars, period. Like, I know like a lot of people will say Adam Driver is great, but like there really hasn't been a moment in a Star Wars anything where like I looked at him and he's like, oh, that dude's sorry. like you feel the emotion on his face. You feel like Theron said, I sobbed. It was 6:30 in the morning and I was openly crying at what Jess was talking about with him talking about Leia, and then just seeing his face when he said, I'm sorry for all of it. Like that, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily that high of a bar.
True. I mean, that's good. Fair point. But like, which is why it's so surprising when you see a moment like that. We're like, oh, this dude's trying. Like, he's doing it. He's doing the damn thing.
It's kind of like when WandaVision showed up and all of a sudden Elizabeth Olsen was like acting her ass off in a way that you are not used to seeing in Marvel shows. And you're like, oh, okay. It was similar to that. But yeah, it might be the best acted thing in Star Wars ever. I'm trying to rack my brain to think of something that tops it. There might be a moment. Nothing in The Mandalorian comes to mind, even though there's some pretty good acting in that show. Yeah, which is good. I think you're right, but I also don't think Star Wars often has actors the caliber of Ewan McGregor.
True.
Getting to just, I mean, and this project was built around him as, star vehicle, for lack of a better term. And so there should be that moment where he gets to have his real moment. Where everyone sticks it out. That's what's going to be shown on all the award show tapes. And that's what, like, there should be that moment in a show that's called Kenobi, right?
Right.
You should have that moment where you see that. But the fact that it stuck, you can need to have that moment, but having it land is a completely different thing. And that's really hard to do. And they landed it in such an amazing way. And I think that all comes down to the performance, like you're saying. So I went to school for acting.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. I went to school for acting. I have a lot of years put into it. And it's, I'm always really impressed when moments land like that. And he was, like I said, some of the most impressive I've seen for a man who's been nominated for multiple Oscars. I think it was some of the finest work of his career, which is really saying something.
And speaking of the finest work of his career, you were talking about it earlier. Hayden, I don't want to hear any more that Hayden Christensen can act.
Yeah.
Dude, the way he said that he killed Anakin Skywalker with that smile on his face. F me up, man. Like, that's just so effing good.
That was my first tweet post watching the episode, was just, holy shit, Hayden Christensen, you go off, King. Like, I was like, go off, King. Like, he deserved that after getting so much shit for the prequels, right? Like, he deserved that moment.
And Trey can attest to this. When we went to Celebration, one of the coolest things to me, whenever Hayden was, on the Star Wars show stage, whenever he went anywhere, like, there were literally times where, like, he was on stage and they said Hayden Christensen, and like standing ovation. Like,
that's awesome.
It's so rewarding because, like, I think all of us are relatively the same age. Like, we're children of the prequels. Like, we were, those were our Star Wars movies. So seeing something that was such a part of our lives, seeing, like, I think I've said this before, like, I didn't know people didn't like the prequels until I was like a teenager. Because, like, it was just like, oh, I like these. These are Star Wars. These mean the world to me. But seeing the hate and vitriol that the movies have gotten over the years, and then seeing Hayden get that kind of love and affection was really, really wonderful. Trey.
My MacBook charger broke.
Okay.
My computer wasn't charging. It was like, I'm about to die. So I had to go steal my sister's.
So we were talking about, Hayden. how specifically we don't want to hear the Hayden Christensen can't act group talking ever again, because that moment when he is revealed in the finale is one of the best performed.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think in the prequels he's like very kind of like monotone, because that's sort of how Vader was. Like that's what Vader talks. I almost think like George Lucas was like kind of talk and like a steady voice, like don't adjust your pitch too much. So I've seen him act in a movie called Shattered Glass. He was amazing in that. Like he's a really good actor. So I'm sure for him it's been tough, like having the last 20 years be like people saying you can't do the job that you do, which would suck. So yeah, in this, like in the flashback scene, he was really good. And then in this scene, he was really good too. So I'm excited like to see. I know there have been rumors of him maybe being in the Ahsoka show. So I'm like very curious to see if he pops up in Star Wars again. I love having him back because it feels like the same thing as having Tobey Maguire in No Way Home, just like these people who were like staples of your childhood, who like were your favorite things. And that's really cool. I love people like celebrating him and people who grew up with him now, like he's back, and it's a really cool moment.
Jess,
people did freak out at Celebration.
It was crazy
more than anyone else.
Yeah, it was really. I was really surprised that he got that kind of ovation and reception.
I freaked out the most for Rupert Friend, my favorite actor.
You are a famous Grand Inquisitor, a live action Grand Inquisitor stan. We've known this from the very beginning.
Third Bill.
Hello there, Jess. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Jess hates Anakin.
You're more of a not casual, but like you said like you said earlier, you're not really into canon. You don't, as long as it's a good story. Did you watch the prequels as a kid? What's your relationship with the prequels? And what did you think of overall the performances of the prequel actors in Kenobi?
So within the past year is when I've started to watch all of the Star Wars.
Wow,
so
what changed in the past year for you?
I wonder what changed.
Yeah.
But so I had actually just watched them like a few months ago for the first time. Like my parents, I was recently trying to explain like the concept of the prequels to my dad. Like he didn't even, I was like, no, they take the movies that came out like in the 90s, early 2000s, like it takes place after, this show takes place after that. And he's like, he's like, yeah, because I remember, like he was very confused. So my parents didn't watch it. I am a family of all girls. So I don't have any brothers where like that would impact it. I was born in 1998. So like when they're coming out, not exactly my time either. I mean, we're all the same age, but I'm a girl, you know what I mean? Not to say that, yeah. And so, yeah, I just watched them recently, but I still, like, I don't understand the hate that Hayden got from the prequels. From me watching it, it was more just like the script and the dialogue being kind of clanky, but like his performance itself wasn't bad, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think that they did a really good job in the show. The performances were great, as well as the new actors that came into the fold in the series.
Awesome.
Shout out Tala.
Absolutely, shout out Tala and Ned B. Most importantly, Ned B. R.I.P. R.I.P. King.
O'Shea Jackson.
Yeah, no, Ned B.
I'm saying Roken was great too.
True,
I really loved him.
I did too.
Yeah,
I did too.
I have like a hope that he's in Andor. I don't think he is, but it'd be cool. Or like, probably not Bad Batch, but.
I think if he were to show up, there was that rumor of that Reva show earlier a while back. I know it was probably not really a reputable source, but like if they do any kind of Reva show or anything like that, I think
definitely getting set up for something.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi doesn't tell you that you lead, people will follow, and like then you don't set him up for a series.
One of my favorite things, like Jess and I. I think we have 2 episodes left of Rebels.
Yeah.
Right, or 1.
Oh, I don't know. Why would I say that?
Yeah. Bill's been watching them through FaceTime with us. Like with Kanan Jarrus, right? Like he's a Jedi who was very anti being in the rebellion, and then I can say this now because Jess is caught in this part. He gives up his life to like for the cause, and I think it's a really cool thing that Obi-Wan Kenobi, beginning of the show, he won't even help another Jedi, right? But by the end of the show, he inspires the rebellion. Like he inspires the future of the heroes in this galaxy, and I think that's a really cool thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too. Speaking of like, different characters in this, let's kind of transition a little bit to the story as a whole, the series as a whole. And I know, Kalle, you had some criticisms, or a specific criticism that you wanted to talk about, because I think, I've rewatched the first 2 episodes. I think there's a lot of great stuff in that, and I think there might be a little bit of, well, I was at the premiere with Trey and I were at the premiere, and like you're in a room like where the energy is just electric. I like a lot of it, but I have rose tinted glasses when it comes to that kind of stuff. What was your biggest criticism of the Kenobi show?
It doesn't feel tight to me. There's a lot of I think there's probably a really, really good movie in here. And you can kind of tell that it was meant to be a movie before it was a show. And because of that, I think they probably expanded Third Sister's character arc a little bit too far, to the point where there's some things in it that don't really make sense. Like her just being alive and functioning normally in the last episode kind of bugged me. And I want to clarify that I loved her performance. I think she is menacing and evil.
Shout out Moses Ingram.
Yeah, like the performance was incredible. My issues are with the way the character was written, and I think the stuff on Tatooine just kind of as a whole in the last episode didn't really work for me. I didn't find it menacing. I didn't really believe it. I don't really know why she would make that choice to not, it just didn't land for me. Her choice, that decision at the end, it didn't necessarily land for me in the way that it was structured. I think it was edited too quickly, and you never really got like a glimpse at Luke, and we didn't really connect with Luke as a character at all in this show. So that emotionality, I don't think was really, even though I know it's Luke Skywalker, that knowledge wasn't really enough for me because it hadn't really built to that moment. So it kind of felt forced. That's probably my biggest complaint about the show. It's a nitpick for sure. I loved the show as a whole, but that's probably
Jess, what do you think? Any criticisms, anything specific?
Well, just like based off what Kalle was just saying, like why is this specific kid that she's about to kill, like the moment where she changes her mind? It's like, you were okay with it before. Like Vader was killing children like at whatever planet they were on earlier, or like she was letting that happen, but like all of a sudden now she's like, I don't want to become him or whatever. Like that's the point. Where I was like, I don't know if I believe that. But at the same time, it's not like I wanted, like I took issue, what was I saying? Like at the end of the 5th episode, Trey and I were watching it together. And I was like, I hope they don't kill her off. Like they're just killing off all their female characters. It was kind of bothering me. So like I didn't want her to die, but she wouldn't win in a fight. So it felt like there was no good ending like for that story, because it's like she gets redeemed in that way, or she dies at Vader's hand. But like so yeah, that was a bit complicated for me, I guess, the more I think about it.
Trey, what about you?
Going back to Kale's point about the show, like maybe functioning better as a movie, I feel like episode 4, that was the episode where they go to the Fortress Inquisitorius to get Leia. I feel like that episode was like, if this was a movie, that episode wouldn't exist. Like that part of the story would be taken out, because that part, like, while I liked it, I liked seeing Fortress Inquisitorius. I enjoyed that part of Fallen Order, the video game. That part didn't really need to exist, but I liked it a lot. Yeah, and then just kind of going back, the Tatooine stuff, like when I rewatch this episode, I definitely feel like the Reva fighting, like going after Luke stuff, is going to be the part that I skip. but I think the resolution of her story is really good. Like I like that because I think she's a really cool parallel to Vader, where she's like a fallen Jedi who Obi-Wan was able to save. And I think that was the whole point of that character is to make Obi-Wan feel like he still has some ability to like change lives.
You know, you remember at the beginning, you know, when what's Nuri is the guy who is played by one of the Safdie twin brothers.
Yeah, I'm not sure that character's name.
I think it's Nuri or something like it. Jedi Benny Safdie. You know, I think you truly like
tough life for that guy.
When you see him at the beginning and like now you see where he's Obi-Wan's just like, y'all no go bury your lightsaber in the sand and just run, to like, you know, you have a choice and him having a little bit of hope. I think that's a full arc. But you know, in terms of like just criticisms, man, I kind of disagree with. I think the Castle Inquisitori, Fortress Inquisitori stuff is kind of essential. The one episode that I think you could get rid, like, if not get rid of, but like cut down substantially, is episode 3. Because like, what do they really do? Like, you could do like stormtroopers attacking them on Jabeam. What's the planet? I forget what the planet is.
Jabeam, yeah.
They're on Jabeam. Cut that down by like 25 minutes. And then like hit Vader coming after him and like make it a really long episode too.
Freck, is that his name?
Yeah, Freck. Which
everyone who we all thought it was Seth Rogen at first, and then it wasn't. It was Zach Braff.
Zach Braff. Yeah. I still think the next explosive witness for the January 6th committee is going to be Freck, because like that dude.
Where was Freck on January 6th?
Where was Freck on January 6th? But because I think you need that moment where like Vader just straight up destroys him, and that kind of goes into
the last 10 minutes of that episode were freaking amazing.
Yeah,
I think the show is so good that we forgot about that part.
Condense it.
Yeah.
Like
I am what you made me.
This episode, like this series, probably could have been 1 hour to like 1 hour and 20 minute. Like, I think that
it definitely cut out part of it.
There's a lot that you could have cut out of this. Like that,
I still liked it. Like,
so did I. I enjoyed it, and like I said, I just have nitpicks. Like you know, Reva's character, like it's like Jess was saying, where all of a sudden that's where she draws the line, or you know, I find it hard to believe that she was trying to get close to Vader all that time, just like okay with killing people, all that type of thing. And so like there's just certain little parts about her character I found that they probably tried. I think that's where they added a lot of filler, is what I'm saying. Is I think there was a lot of filler to that sort of character arc, and I think it could have maybe if they would have focused less on that, because the best part about this show is the Vader Obi-Wan stuff, and I wanted to see more of that. And so I don't know, I guess to make it a perfect show for me, I would have probably cut down on the Inquisitor storylines and probably expanded just the Vader Obi-Wan stuff a little bit more.
What I think, now that I'm thinking about it, you know, I think another criticism I kind of have of it is that, you know, we're given the impression that Obi-Wan has not used the Force in a long time, or like he's kind of like Luke in The Last Jedi. He hasn't used it. I thought it was a little rushed where he went from I'm not really using the Force to I'm having trouble using the Force to, you know, where we got in the finale where he's just like lifting rocks and just going full like.
But think about The Last Jedi. Luke wasn't connected to the Force at all, and then he projects himself across the galaxy. That's a pretty tough.
That's true.
That's a pretty tough thing.
What do you think?
I think they both come from similar moments, and that's kind of actually a cool parallel I hadn't really drawn yet, because they both come from similar moments where they're getting that power from hope for the next generation, and I think that's kind of really cool.
Yeah, I mean, when Obi-Wan like has the boulders fall on him, like he's not thinking of Anakin, he's not thinking of Padme, he's thinking of those still alive, Luke and Leia, because that's his goal. That's what Yoda instructed him. Go to the boy, take care of the boy. He's also supposed to take care of the girl because he's like the last one yet. I'm like curious. Obi-Wan's out here doing all this stuff. Yoda's just chilling in the swamp.
Yeah,
what is Yoda up to right now?
He's found a very particular herb, and
Yaddle's there.
Yaddle's there. It's
Yaddle's on Airbnb on.
He's seeing visions of the future. He's doing it all.
Yoda's doing shrooms in the swamp.
He really is. He's really perfecting whatever that stew was on Dagobah.
Jess, what do you think?
I guess also just a random thought I had with like the movie criticism, like if it could have been a movie, if they cut it down. I think a lot of like the experience of watching a TV show, especially in this sense, is that we didn't binge it all and watch it all in one sitting. Like you got an episode and then you had to wait a week and like talk about it and like predict what's going to happen next. And so they kind of like, end that way. And so with like Reva's story in particular, like when they were revealing, that she was one of the foundlings, is that the word?
Younglings.
Like younglings in, at the beginning, like we all know she was, like we kind of figured that out. And if you're just sitting watching a movie, like you might predict that as you're watching it, but it's not as like much of like we knew this was coming 4 weeks ago type.
Same with like the Grand Inquisitor getting stabbed. It's like we all know he's in. Well, a lot of people know that like he's in Star Wars Rebels. Like he can't die. So like that whole like it breaks canon thing. If this was a movie, we would sit there and we wouldn't have to wait weeks. And also like I know I've said it before, but I absolutely despise the Disney Plus release schedule. It's stupid. I live on the East Coast. I can't stay up till 3 a.m.
Yep.
Not even it's staying up to like 4:30 really, because like you watch a show, then you gotta like decompress and then go to sleep. When you gotta wake up at like 7 a.m., it's just not plausible. Why these shows don't release at like 9 p.m. Eastern time? It's just like that's what HBO does, and it works for me. I think everyone tweeting about Euphoria at the same time, like you have to watch that at the same point because you can't go on Twitter besides it. And I think that works a lot better. Keywords are trending and everything.
I agree. I hate waking up in the middle of the night to watch these things.
It's so stupid. I hate it.
I'm always like waking Trey up, like you ready to watch? The first thing you do after you wake up is watching the show.
Well, it's like the finale was very dark in terms of like the visuals, very dark episode. So like in the morning, it's super bright in your apartment, and it's like hard to see, like certain scenes and stuff. So yeah, I hate that. I can't stand the release thing. It's so stupid to me.
Didn't they like? Because when we were at Celebration, didn't they like?
Yeah, we changed that shit.
I forget. Like I think the show
came out. We saw it at like
7:30 or 7
Pacific, and then it came out 30 minutes after we saw it.
And I think at that point it was
9 p.m. Eastern. Yeah,
yeah.
Because I watched it.
If you do that, like, would you rather people like wake up and do it, or like if you own the night? That's like if it's at 9 p.m. Eastern time, that's prime time, baby. Like that's
yeah. And then like I mean, okay, let's say you're an average person who goes to work, like you drive to work or whatever in the morning. You can't, if you're not going to watch this show before you go to work, you can't go online because people will spoil it. The keywords are trending on Twitter. And I hate that. Like, I hate that people can't go online. I hate that people feel the need to like post spoilers at 4 a.m. in the morning just for clout. It just drives me nuts. I
agree. That. And like, I will say I've been seeing someone and she's very into Star Wars. And like, so it was, it was something where I would go visit her after work and we would watch it together. And like, I love spending time with her watching Star Wars, but like still like I'm jonesing all day to watch the day.
The
like
thing for you was with No Way Home, how you waited till the Monday after good God. If Jess asked me to do that.
So my sister and I, our thing is we go see Marvel movies together. And she was at a job or something like that, and she couldn't get back until Monday. And so I decided to be a good brother. The one time I decided to be a good brother, and wait till Monday. But like there was a moment on like Thursday night where I was at like a Christmas party, where I was like a block away from a theater in downtown Lexington, where I was like, I could go see No Way Home right now, and Annie would not know even a little bit. And like that was kind of where I was with Kenobi with this. because I was like, man, she wouldn't know, and I could watch it. But I agree. I think they need to change their release schedule for Disney Plus and Star Wars shows in general.
I have one question. So, good friend of the show and the greatest person in the world. You need to worship him. He's better than you, Scotty J-Ro.
The God, Scotty J-Ro.
Yeah, he's the best. He's brought up to us the point about in the marketing of these shows and in Rise of Skywalker, they use Duel of the Fates. They use these iconic songs to market the shows, and then those songs aren't in the show. How do you all feel about that? Do you feel like Battle of the Heroes, the Anakin versus Obi-Wan and Revenge of the Sith song should have been in the show, or do you feel like the score worked for these scenes?
I think specifically for this show, it doesn't bug me because the score we did get was original and incredible. The score for that scene was beautiful.
Mm-hmm. I tend to agree, but then last night as I was having my my nightcap of just bourbon on the rocks, I watched a rescore of the duel with Obi-Wan and Anakin that used Battle of the Heroes. And it just fucking slapped.
I think it's worse. I think that scene is worse with it.
Really? Dude,
yes, I watched it with Duel of the Fates. I watched it with Battle of the Heroes. And then I watched it with Natalie Holt's score. And Natalie Holt's score works the best for me.
I agree.
In that scene.
Well, so as a whole, I agree. But then
motifs. You could have sprinkled it. Yeah.
It just a little bit. Because I'm not angry because I do love Duel of the Fates. I love Battle of the Heroes, and I when they use it in the marketing, I know you. I
wish they would stop that. Yeah,
because it sets you up for fit. Because I remember one of the first things when Rise of Skywalker came out. The best Star Wars movie. When that came out, they originally used Duel of the Fates as a in one of those commercials, and then one of my friends who was. It sounded great, and then one of my
really cool. It made that scene look really cool.
I
think that is a cool scene.
One of my I was writing at theforce.net, and I remember I messaged one of my friends who had already seen the movie. I was like, "Is Duel of the Fates in it? Is it in there?" And him saying, "Oh, they use some motifs," and I'm like, "Yeah," and then it was not in there. But I would like to see. You don't have to put it, but maybe just a little, a little sprinkle, a little Salt Bay action there.
Bill, do you plan on reading Shadow of the Sith?
Oh, I got the audiobook right now. I'm listening to it.
How far are you?
First chapter.
Classic. Nice. Yeah.
I'll get to it.
Page 1.
I'm 5 chapters into it. It's pretty good. If no one knows, Shadow of the Sith is a book that's basically episode 6.5. It's takes place after Return of the Jedi, and it's Luke Skywalker and Lando basically trying to find Exegol, the planet from Rise of Skywalker, and it just came out yesterday. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty cool. So just wanted to plug that while we're out here.
Go ahead, Jess.
I just wanted to continue to your point, Trey, or the question you brought up. I guess for me, it's do you feel that this piece of art that we're watching this show is improved because it's familiar to you, using the score that it's yes, I recognize that makes it better, or something new and original, it might be different and it might not be as iconic to you, but I think that it probably is better to just, like you said, motifs might work in places, but to just recycle something.
Well,
again, because it's so.
Well, I think if at the beginning of the fight we hear dun, 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 like that, and then that's kind of it for it. I think that would work.
Well, they recycled Duel of the Fates in the prequels, though. It was in episode 1. It was in episode
Yoda versus the Emperor too.
Yeah, and it was in episode 2 when before Anakin goes on his rampage of the Sand People.
Right. When that's a cool
so
scene.
They're up to, they've done it before, and once again, I don't want to seem my love of something is contingent on Duel of the Fates showing up. It's the opposite, really, because I just like hearing it. It's to me, it's kind of it's not the level of the Force theme, but like I'd love to see it more, and I kind of wish they would use it when it would work. I think that
especially like Obi-Wan is in that scene, you know, like Duel of the Fates is Obi-Wan, or I guess Duel of the Fates probably not as much as Battle of the Heroes.
It was it
Phantom
showed up.
Menace.
Yeah, Phantom Menace, the duel
The
with
end
Darth
battle.
Maul.
Gotcha.
That is the greatest piece of music ever written. It's so good.
It's so good. Any thoughts on the series as a whole? We've talked a little bit about what we would have changed, a couple criticisms. Is there anything in like the series as a whole where we haven't, we've talked about the finale, obviously.
The volume.
Okay.
Talk about this show uses the volume, which is a Star Wars, I guess not Star Wars, like a Lucasfilm technology where it's like an LED screen that wraps around a room. And it's pretty cool. The Mandalorian uses it a ton, but it makes the sets so tiny. Like the sets can't be that big because it's surrounded by an LED screen. And I do feel like this show used the volume a lot, and it really hurt my aesthetic experience of the show. I know the new Thor movie is using it a lot too, and I've seen like some shots that like don't look that good. It's just because like they're using the volume for so much of it. I feel like COVID affected that, so I can't be too mad because COVID affects things, and like the world, you have to adapt. But I wish Lucasfilm, like the show Andor, the trailer, you could tell so much of that was on location, and I miss that in Star Wars because I feel like they use the volume for way too much now.
I got you.
It's not just that; it's also just like I think it is part of the storytelling too. Star Wars at its best, the locations are part of the story, and I feel like the locations in this show, God, there's got to be a better way to describe that. But I'll just get to my point. It kind of just feels like insert set piece here, like the planet is a random rock, or
or it's like a crappy desert,
and so like the locations kind of don't feel like they're they're using the locations to further inform the story. And I feel like when Star Wars is at its best, it's doing that. Like obviously Mustafar is the best example of that. It's like the gates of hell, and
and George Lucas actually went there, believe it or not. He went to the gates of hell. And filmed Mustafar.
Not like, but like
we are on location in hell right now.
But like those locations anyways, and so by shooting them on location, you get that lived in feel that I was talking about earlier. Anyways, point went awry. My apologies.
No. I think you're right. No, I think you're right because like there was no real like defining characteristic of all these planets. Like they just felt like rocky or a little dry and arid. Like there was no
Fortress Inquisitorius looked really good. Yeah, I think that was the only one that I was like, okay, I can't tell that this is the volume.
True. It's just even like as much as I love the duel at the end, I think that actually the scene where like they first meet where like he destroys Obi-Wan, like I think that was a kind of that was a more believable set than like just tall rock pillars. Like there was it just
even
in episode 5, that was the one that I could really feel it.
Yeah.
In that one, like episode 3 or whatever, he literally like runs like behind a rock or whatever, and I was like confused because then it felt like he ran like to where Vader was again. Like it was my perception of the location was confusing in that way.
Yeah. Okay. Do we want to transition into what we think a possible season 2 of Kenobi could look like? It actually, getting into that, do we want to see a season 2 of Kenobi? Kale, do you think a season 2 makes sense? Do you want to see it? And then we'll just go around and we'll talk, and then we'll talk about what a season 2 might look like.
It worries me because to me the strength of this show was the Vader Obi-Wan stuff, and that I think has diminishing returns. 9 years to me is believable. I haven't felt that present since but what is 5 years of that look like? You know, that type of thing. And they've already danced around canon so much, and I think they succeeded. I really do. I think they succeeded in dancing around canon in this show. But the more episodes you make, the harder that gets. And so a season 2 just makes me nervous from that perspective. But am I down to hang out with Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan more? Of course. Like it's one of the best portrayals in all of fandom, and that alone makes it worth it.
Jess, what do you think? Are you similarly nervous, or what do you want to see?
Yeah, I am curious, like what they will write or do within it. But I guess something that got kind of teased, I guess not really, but Satine like wasn't brought up at all in this, and I was like, maybe that or more like Qui-Gon stuff, I guess, would be something to explore because he's kind of the end of the season, but I don't really know what you would explore there. But yeah, I'll just watch it and find out, I guess.
Trey, what do you think, bud?
I mean, I think season 1 was going to be Vader versus Obi-Wan. Or like, I know one of the writers recently has said that like they were planning a trilogy. So like, I think there are stories there that like they believed could be told, especially if you like, I don't think this story would have been one movie. This story would not have been a trilogy. Like I can't imagine 3 movies of just this story. Totally. That's ridiculous. So like you got to imagine that there's more stories. And I feel like in A New Hope, Obi-Wan knows how to become a Force ghost. Like that's something that he was taught. So I think if we do get a season 2, which I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like it wrapped up pretty well. So if we do get one, I feel like it really has to be like really a lot of Qui-Gon, like Qui-Gon talking with Obi-Wan, them kind of like him kind of being his therapist and kind of going through stuff. I think Yoda could definitely be in a season 2. I would like to see that. We got mention of like Quinlan Vos in the show. So like there could be some stuff with that. Maybe Obi-Wan like continues to help this path that was talked about in episode 3 about like this Jedi path of helping people. And like, I don't know, maybe, I mean, actually, I don't know. I probably shouldn't say that, but
good.
I'm excited. Like if they do a season 2, I'm excited.
What were you going to say, Jess?
Do you think they would take more of like the Book of Boba Fett route of like, it's about Boba Fett, but also we do like Mandalorian stories within it? Like if they don't have enough to tell, like go to other characters that are around at that time.
That might be.
I hope not.
Well, that's just a thought.
Yeah.
Well, you do like if you were to do that, well, there are a couple things working here because I think that one, they've kind of wrapped up Vader stuff perfectly, where they're like, the Emperor's like, this is done. I don't think your thoughts are clear on this. So I think that's kind of like him saying like, okay, quit this. You've got other stuff to do. You're my lapdog. So there we go. That's the end of Obi-Wan. So I think that, like you were talking about earlier, Kale, works for like, that's not a presence I felt since.
Yeah.
So 9 years.
I agree. I just don't know what story there is to tell outside of that.
I think we're going to do an episode pitching season 2 in a few weeks. And I've, like you mentioning Quinlan, I kind of like Quinlan Vos as a character that, like, if you've read Dark Disciple, he is kind of played with the dark side a little bit before. So I think it would be interesting if Quinlan discovers that Anakin Skywalker has children and that Obi-Wan is protecting one of said children. And like, that's why Owen hates Obi-Wan, is because like he keeps on bringing these people that like want to kill Luke, and like he has to fight his old friend Quinlan Vos, protect Luke from Quinlan Vos, which is like, that's a Jedi Master. That's somebody that is like a believable foil to Obi-Wan. And then like you get more of the Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan stuff. It's more of a contained story on Tatooine, because like the main point of this first season, if we do get a second season, is saving Leia. So like if it was a second season, saving Luke, that being the main crux of the season. If I could quote a great director, it's like poetry, it rhymes. So like I think that there could be something there. But kind of mirroring what everyone else has said, it's wrapped up perfectly, I think, for just as it was envisioned as a mini series, a self-contained one-off. I'm happy with that. Like you said, Kale, would I love to see Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, like for the rest of like as long as he's willing to do it? Absolutely. Like number one, like
are they gonna give him like a wig or like what's gonna happen?
No, it's dye his hair white. How aggressively
he's gonna age up real
him
quick.
In 9 years.
Obi-Wan Kenobi installs a moisture evaporator. Cool. I'll watch that. It doesn't matter what it is. I will watch it. But like, do I think it might cheapen or lessen the impact of season 1? Absolutely. If it's done wrong, absolutely. But at the same time, like I had doubts about a Vader and Obi-Wan meeting in this in this, because like like you said earlier, Kale, it kind of tiptoeing around canon. Like you keep going. Like it's believable. This was great, but like if you keep doing it, at a certain point, something's gonna go wrong. Like something is not gonna work. So I don't know. It's just there's a lot of ifs, but I think if Deborah Chow, if the same team is involved with a potential season 2, I'd watch it in a heartbeat, and I'd be the first in line to watch it on Disney Plus. That's not how it works, but I'd figure a way to get to the front of the line. So
yeah, I'll sign up for anything she directs.
Like, I know exactly. Which, by the way, we haven't talked about her direction. She can do anything Star Wars for the rest of the time.
For the rest of time.
I saw a lot of directed by Deborah Chow shirts at Celebration, and like I want one. I want to be directed by Deborah Chow. I want her to write my life. I want her to do all of it because she has so much goodwill from me, and it's just so good, so good. Go ahead, Trey.
Kind of just going back about like what season 2 could be. One of the last episodes of, I guess, season 6 of Clone Wars. One of the later episodes was like Obi-Wan kind of like going to this weird planet and like discovering what the Force really is and all this weird Force stuff. And if we do get a season 2, like I would kind of like a really trippy Obi-Wan, like kind of making his way through the cosmic Force thing, where like Qui-Gon is like his teacher, like Obi-Wan is like really sitting in his hut, almost just like meditating, and we get like these like lessons of the Force, like that kind of thing, where like he meets Yoda, or like he like talks to Yoda, he talks to Qui-Gon, talks to like masters who've come before him, and just like a really weird Force centric season, I think would be interesting. Just because like,
are you talking about?
I didn't show you that episode.
The Mortis arc?
Like, no, it was like it's like season 6, so it's like Yoda is like doing all this.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
because I thought Qui-Gon was in that episode. I think
he's in one of them. Yeah, he's in Mortis. But I mean, yeah, like any weird Force thing, just Qui-Gon teaching him, I think, is what interests me more than like Obi-Wan leaving Tatooine again, because I can't see that happening.
I got
so I'm curious. Yeah, I have no idea what it could be if it happens.
Leia's Senate adventures.
Yeah.
Somehow, I don't know.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, you can ask as many questions as you want.
Are you having a hard time? Because I'm a little bit having a hard time after the show, because I bought so hard into the Leia Obi-Wan connection, believing that they're not going to see each other again. And that it's hard for me to wrap my head around after spending so much time developing this connection and just going, oh, well, they don't see each other again until, and then she doesn't mourn him at all in A New Hope, when it's like, I wish Obi-Wan were here. She's like, get over it, Luke.
Yeah. Once again, I mean, go ahead.
Well, and like in A New Hope, one of the lines that does work is Luke Skywalker is like, going to rescue Leia, and he's like, Ben Kenobi, it's me to help you here. And he's like, Ben Kenobi's here. Like, that works now.
Yeah,
because,
which is great.
But yeah, I mean, she doesn't warn him.
Well,
Yeah,
and
I
maybe
Or the name of their son too. That's better
well,
now.
and maybe like they can probably explain. There's a paragraph in a novel that they're gonna make where it explains where she really did mourn him, but she was just too busy. Like, because like
son after him. I mean,
it like, but if you like look at Leia's journey through A New Hope, like. She's imprisoned. She finds out she's imprisoned because she has secret plans for the Death Star, how to destroy the Death Star. Her number one mission is to get it to. This is the fate of the galaxy. So like, it just because she doesn't mention it, like I think you can explain your way around that. Once again, you can tiptoe around canon to a certain extent. But
and
then,
I'm not even pointing it out necessarily as I think we're getting caught up on the plot hole here, which is not really where my point was. I was really trying to like, I just don't like, if they were to make a season 2, for example, like I would want Leia in it because of how much I bought in on that connection. And like,
yeah.
And that actress was so good.
She got way better as the series went on.
Yeah. That's like if she did not work, that series would not work, and she fucking killed it. I love her so much, and she encapsulates so much of Carrie's energy and that the energy of Princess Leia that I just love her. I'm so happy that she was in it, and I'm happy that we got this series because we've talked about the criticisms of it, but like I think as a whole, like just episodes 5 and 6 alone, it's kind of for me. It's overtaken The Last Jedi for my favorite Star Wars project because like those moments in the duel with Obi-Wan and Anakin, him saying all the things that Leia is about her parents, like it's just like I said, as a child of the prequels, seeing everybody shine, that we're seeing my hero shine, and seeing that like giving some recognition to Padme in general is big, and I like that. I would have liked to have seen, like I had talked about it a couple weeks ago, that like if there was like a moment where he's saying goodbye to Leia, he gets one last look at Leia, and he looks over, and instead of Leia, he sees like a Natalie Portman, Padme Amidala for just a brief glimpse. I think that would have made me happy. But like, it's just, with the exception of maybe shortening some things, taking some things out, everything really works for me. Like, and I'm so happy we got this. So, any final thoughts, y'all, before we wrap up this episode?
Thanks for letting me talk Star Wars. I really
appreciate it. Absolutely. We'll bring you back. Seriously, have you done a pod before?
Not talking about Star Wars. I talk about the Nuggets a lot.
You're a natural, man. You can come back and talk about Star Wars whenever you want. Super producer, baby. Awesome.
I mean, I love the show. I wish it had another $50 million to it to make some of the stuff look better. Because I think my main issues are like cosmetic versus story. The story worked for me. I mean, like, yeah, maybe it felt a little bit long, but like if you condense this into like a long movie, I think it would work really well. So I loved it.
And Jess, what do you think?
Final thoughts about well, I tweeted this a while ago. It was the first like Star Wars that ever made me cry, so that was a new thing for me. What is his name? KP1 top 5 droid now, perhaps. We'll see. I cried when he died.
Ned B.
Oh yeah, sorry. All the letters, all the numbers.
I always have to think of Ned from No Way Home, and then I think of B.
Yeah. That was a tear I shed at that moment. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm kind of sad it's over now, but we shall move forward.
Me too. And I love that our friend Brandon at Talking Bay 94 every Wednesday has or every Tuesday night has said, I can't wait to watch Kenobi tomorrow, like for the new episode of Kenobi tomorrow. Cause like it's been so nice to have something to look forward to on Wednesday. But anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for watching the show today. I want to thank our wonderful guests for coming on. Kalle, where can the people find you on Twitter? Plug everything you want to plug, buddy.
I'm at Kalle Sorbo on Twitter, KalleSorbo. Please buy my pictures. Thank you.
Awesome. Buy his pictures. You're welcome back anytime. I'm really, really glad you came on, buddy. Jess, where can the people find you?
At Jessica Schloth on Twitter. That
Schloth.
is my
Schloth.
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 That's how
Awesome.
I say it.
Trey, my good friend, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Theron James. That is my handle. I'm having a good night drinking and hanging out in the chat of this lovely show. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. And you guys can find me on Twitter at Star Wars Bill. You can find Skywalking Through the League on Twitter at SkywalkingTL. Thank you guys so much. We'll have more Obi-Wan content soon, and look out for our Andor reviews when they come out. And as always, my good friends, Godspeed, Rebels.